Hello everyone, my name is Kwame Goza once again. It's Connect Africa here. Did you know that Zambia is planning on putting up a state farm which will own about 30% in the future mines that are going to be discovered? Yes, in the past we have spoken about Zambia and the fact that Zambia was trying to put up new laws, and which laws of course were opposed by the neo-colonial mining corporations which are operating in Zambia, and of course led by Gilenko and others which it represents. You know that Gilenko operates the biggest mine in Zambia, which is called the Mopani copper mine, and of course they were hiding behind some of the Zambian institutions, as we said in one of our videos on this platform, and we explained that some of these neo-colonial institutions, they enter into the domestic and indigenous institutions. They buy people in there so that the people can lobby for them. So what happened is that when Zambia was talking about putting up a new law in parliament where it would own much of the resources, or it would own a bigger share of the resources which it is having, these companies came out through the Zambian Chamber of Mines to claim that it is not a good law and it will also inflict danger on investment, or it will threaten investment. That is the claim which they came out. But right now what we are receiving is that Zambia is planning now on doing what? Is planning on forming a state farm which will own about 30% of all new critical minerals which are in the country. Let us look at what the article itself is saying. They are saying that Zambia plans to establish an investment company that will control at least 30% of critical minerals production from future mines. Of course, they are talking about future mines. They are not talking about the old mines. Now, for us, of course, what we ask here as a question, why not renegotiate the old contracts instead of talking about future mines? Why not renegotiate the old contracts? Like what is happening in Senegal? The young people, the young leadership in Senegal is renegotiating the contracts. You know, Diomaye Faye and Ousmane Sonko. They are saying that the contracts which were signed by the previous governments, the oil and gas contracts, have to be renegotiated so that they can create a rebalance for the benefit of the country. So why not Zambia do the same thing? Is it because Zambian president is a puppet to the West, that he fears the West, or what is it? And of course we are not just talking this out of nowhere. We have seen the West, him causing up with the West. We have seen in the past when there was challenges in Ethiopia with the war in Tigray, where there was rebels in Tigray in the northern part of Ethiopia. Zambia is the only country which pulled out its citizens in following to the narrative of the West. No African country pulled out its citizens from Ethiopia. It was only Zambia. So this in itself raised a red flag for us on this president. So we are not just speaking out of nowhere. So we ask a question: is it because this president fears his colonial masters, his neo-colonial masters, that he doesn't want to renegotiate the old contracts? What is it that he's fearing? After all, the people have nothing to fear, have nothing to lose. The people in the country have nothing to lose, and they have everything to gain with the renegotiation of these contracts. So why are we talking about only the future mines? So that is a question that I'm going to raise for now. So the minister, Paul Kabuswe, unveiled a strategy on Thursday that said it will allow, which he said that he will allow Zambia to maximize the benefits from its deposits of metals, or which are key metals, from its key metals, which are also important, during the energy transition. These metals which are going to be important during the energy transition. So Zambia's second largest copper producer aims to more than quadruple. They aim to more than quadruple output of the metal by early in the next decade. Of course, they're talking about output of copper in the next decade. But it has deposits also of cobalt, graphite, and lithium. Zambia also has cobalt, graphite, and lithium. And of course, you know that these minerals are very important when it comes to the new electric vehicle revolution that is happening, of course, majorly in China and of course in the Western world. And where is Africa? Why not talk about establishing processing facilities within Zambia itself. If Zambia does not have the money for establishing the processing facilities, why not go across the African continent and look for the rich people to come into Zambia and establish these facilities on behalf of the African continent and on behalf of the African people? These things can be done. Let no one tell you that these things cannot be done. So instead of talking about increasing production, and which is something that we have seen for a lot of African countries approaching this situation in this kind of manner, saying that they are going to increase production, we are saying that the best way to handle this is to renegotiate the contracts, is not to increase production, because increasing production is going to increase exploitation, more exploitation. And this is what we have seen even in Nigeria when it comes to oil, when they have spoken about the fact that Nigeria is not getting enough oil for Dangote is not getting enough crude oil. They have said that they will increase production from 1 million barrels per day to 2 million barrels per day, which does not make sense. What makes sense for us is to account for whatever is being produced right now and to maximize the benefit. Let it be 60%. These resources belong to the African people. Why not have 60% of these resources on behalf of the African people? So this is what we are saying, and we are saying that the time for renegotiating and piecemeal increment and improvements, the time has to stop. The time has come when we must put an end to incremental improvements, but rather bring about drastic changes. Africa, it is time for Africa to own what really belongs to it, and this is what we are saying. So the state will set up a special purpose vehicle to invest in critical minerals under a design framework that includes a production sharing mechanism, setting aside a minimum of 30%. So if you're talking about 30%, why not 60%? Why the state not take 60%? We saw here in Botswana, the President Masisi, saying that Botswana will increasingly take 10% every year until it achieves more than 50% in its mines. And this is the kind of relationship that we want to change. We want to change. This is how we want to approach these kind of situations. So 30% output from new mining projects. Why new mining projects? Why not even the old mining? Mining projects which are going on. Exploitation has been going on for a long time. A documentary was published a time ago about Glencore, which is a Swiss company, which is a company from Switzerland, and it has been exploiting the resources of Africa in Zambia, and it has not been paying taxes, and the people are suffering. So we need to change this relationship. This generation of Africans, we, the young Africans, have to change these relationships. If these leaders who are currently existent on the continent have not been able to change this relationship, then we, the new generation of Africans, we have to struggle and change this relationship. Miners, including Barrick Gold Corporation. Barrick Gold actually is present in Tanzania, everywhere where there's gold. Is even present in the Sahel, in Niger, Mali, and all these countries. They are saying that miners like Barrick Gold, First Quantum Minerals Limited, and China Naniferous Corporations, Mining Corporation, are investing in the Zambian copper project. Zambia is also counting on the Konkola and Mopani copper project. Zambia is also counting on the Konkola and Mopani copper mines. Of course, Mopani copper mines is the one which is operated by Glencore, which we mentioned, under the control of Vendetta Resources Limited. Vendetta Resources Limited, of course, that's a vehicle which is owned by Glencore now, and Abu Dhabi International Resources Holding, respectively, to ramp up production. They say they want to ramp up production, and of course, what we are seeing now is that the Europeans have been exploiting us. The Chinese have jumped on the wagon, and the Arabs also have jumped on the wagon. So when will African heads of state learn that Africans own these resources, and there should not be any justification whatsoever that these foreigners, they own Africa's resources? There should not be any justification that they have taken concessions and therefore they own the resources when they have just come. The land doesn't belong to them, but the resources belong to them. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous, and this relationship, we believe that it must be changed. But what do you think? What do you think about Zambia's step that it has taken? Is it better to negotiate for 30%, or it is better to negotiate for 60%? And is it better to negotiate for new contracts, or is it even better to renegotiate the old contracts that were signed by the previous governments? Because it looks like we are locked into the old contracts, and our people are suffering because certain people signed these bad contracts for for us and for our continent, and our people are tremendously suffering and they are not getting the benefit. They're not getting the medicines in the hospital. They're not getting good roads. They're not getting good education system in the countries. So while the European citizens are benefiting, are enjoying all these benefits which are coming from our ground, what do you think should be the approach? For me, I think that the contracts should be renegotiated, including the old ones, and we should do the same thing that the young people in Senegal have done. So I think that's what should be done. But what do you think yourself? Please put your suggestions in the comment section and support the video. Please like the video and share it with other people. Support the channel through the PayPal account. We have our PayPal in the description. It's Connect Africa. And also support us on our super chat, so that we can continue to be here to serve the continent, to serve the people, and serve the African continent in all its entirety. Thank you so much for being part of this. And my name is Kwame Gonza. The platform is called Connect Africa and Africa Reimagine. Peace to you all. Thank you so much.